Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is L.A. Williams with a quick disclaimer. We are in a new studio, got some new equipment, and I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, I messed this one up. The levels are a little too hot, so there's some clicks and things like that that you'll hear in the podcast. So I wanted to apologize for that. The information though was extremely powerful, so I said I still wanted y'all to get it. I didn't want to, re-record or have to go back. Man, this was a really, really good podcast. Y'all gonna get a lot out of this one. Check it out.
Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is L.A. Williams, and I'm here live on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and man, have I got a guest for you today. This gentleman is extremely exciting to hear from because he's been in the industry for a while, right? I'm going to let him tell you exactly how long. And man, he's just one of the most intelligent minds of our industry. So without further ado, man, I want to introduce to the Millionaire Car Salesman listeners, my man, Mr. David Blassingame. What's happening, David?
Hey, LA, how you doing?
Hey, I'm super excited to be talking to you, man, because I was talking to Karen a little bit before we started recording, and she was like, yeah, David, he's, whenever he speaks at our 20 groups or if he speaks at somewhere, man, he's like the talk of the town. Everybody's like, I got to talk to David. I got to talk to David. So we're going to definitely learn a lot today. We're excited.
I believe it or not, I've never done a podcast before.
Really? Oh, wow.
I've always spoken in person.
Oh, so this is going to be super cool. So, number one,
Yeah.
you've been in the industry for a while. Talk to the people. Tell them how long you've been in the game.
Started in the car business about 45 years ago.
Wow, 45
And
years ago.
my first, yeah. I started off as a cashier in a body shop.
Mm-hmm.
I worked through the ranks from cashier to dispatcher to shop foreman to estimator to head estimator to body shop manager, moved over into service, worked in service for a while, worked in sales for a while, ended up going back into the body shop business when I had an offer. Then I had an opportunity to move back into sales, took it with AutoFlex Leasing, and I was here about 35 years, 35 years, something like that.
That's huge, man. Listen, I'm only 37, so goodness gracious. Look, Sean's only 42, so you know what I'm saying? You've been in the game longer than before he was even thought of, you know what I'm saying? So that's powerful stuff. So these are going to be some great stories. Again, I really expect, this is going to be fun. So talk to us about it, because I know most people, don't wake up and say, Mommy, Daddy, I want to sell cars. How did you even get into the automotive industry? What made you want to do it?
Well, I was in college and I was working for a grocery store chain, and they wanted me to be a grocery store manager. And the last thing in the world I ever aspired to be was a grocery store manager.
Wow.
So I found an opening in a body shop needing a cashier. It paid the same thing per hour that I made. Plus I got a $250 bonus if the shop ran more than X number of dollars in profit. Mm-hmm. So it was like getting a $250 a month raise, and I took it.
Nice.
And then I just worked my way up from there.
Look, we'll take 250 these days, you know what I'm saying? So that's excellent. That's phenomenal stuff. So tell me, so you were working in the body shop, and then, how did you kind of you took the next step? I heard you say something about being an estimator. Tell me how that went.
Well, I had worked my way up to the shop foreman's job, and one of our estimators had to have an operation. He was going to be out about 6 months. So I went to the manager and I told him, I said, I can do that job. And he just said, no, you can't. I said, yes, I can. And that night I took home a crash manual, a body shop manual, and I read it. And I came back the next morning and I said, just give me a chance. So he sent me out to look at an old Rex Suburban, and I wrote an estimate on it, and he pronounced, this is not perfect, but it'll fix the car. So I got the job. And so then I was an estimator, and it took me about 3 years to become the head estimator, and then the body shop manager. So wow. I did that for the first 12 years I was in the business, actually.
So wait a minute.
And then...
hold on. No, I apologize. I don't want to interrupt you here, because that was a phenomenal story right there. And I think we can all learn something from that. So let's talk about that. You said you saw an opportunity, right? You said you wanted to take the opportunity and somebody tried to shut you down, right? And for me, being blind, people try to shut me down all the time. They're like, Ellie, you can't do that. And I'm like, yes, I can, right? But from your perspective, what was the mindset? What told you, you know what, yes, I can do it? And then on top of that, even though you were already confident, you still said, let me take this manual home. That way I can make sure that I know what I'm doing. How did you think of that?
Well, I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I knew I was smart, and I knew I worked really hard, and I can learn pretty well anything I want to learn. I used the intelligence I was born with and the work ethic that has carried me my whole life, and I put both of them to work and got a better job. I was working by the hour, and that actually put me on commission. So I went from a fixed income to determining my own income every month, which was a lot better deal.
Man, see, and you know, I know you say you never done a podcast, but these are what people should hear for two reasons. Number one, you said you put together intelligence and work ethic, right? The two things that, I mean, listen, you got it, right? It's just a matter of, well, whether somebody's going to apply it, right? And then secondarily, man, you just laid it out. You said you went from being an hourly employee to controlling your own income, you know, and most people, they're afraid of that. So kind of what made you say, hey, you know what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we all know at this point in time that that's a better way to earn income when you control it, if you have the confidence. So talk a little bit about why that was definitely the way to go for you.
Well, I went from making like $1,500 a month to making $2,300 a month.
Wow.
The first month I was on commission.
Bam. 50% pay raise.
Yeah. And I knew if I had the chance, I could do better than I was doing. So I had the chance. Within a year, I was buying a house. I was buying a car. I was moving forward because I worked really hard, and I was a smart guy.
That's beautiful. And so you also sounds like you made some smart decisions with your money. We're gonna talk about that in just a second. But so you sold cars, and you told me that you know, you were doing every position, right? So talk about the selling cars aspect of it. Did you start off great? Did you have to kind of get good? How many cars did you sell?
You know, I started off sort of mediocre. I sold 7 or 8 cars my first month. Second month, I sold, I think, 15 or 16, 20 cars my third month.
Wow.
And but I did that by just working really hard. I bell to bell. I called people when I wasn't busy. I didn't spend my time talking to people that didn't make me money. I spent my time talking to people that did make me money, because that's what I was there to do, make a living.
Absolutely. So then, all right. So your third month, you're selling 20 cars. What did that do for you financially? I mean, was it talk about that aspect, because this is the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and people think that you can't make money in the automotive industry. So,
well, you can if you're disciplined. It takes a certain amount of self-discipline, because you can't be one of the guys and hang out and don't not work. You just talk to other people and get the latest scores on the games. None of that makes you a dime. You have to concentrate on what makes you money. And selling cars makes you money. So if you put all your efforts into it, literally all of your efforts, you will make money. You don't have to be a genius, and you don't have to be great looking. You just have to learn how to do what we do for a living, and then put it to work.
So that's good stuff. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people might think, David, that you cheated and listened to last week's podcast, right? Because you said something that we stressed like so much. And so it's like, I don't plan this stuff, guys. I just, you know, we just happen to record. And this, David is saying, David, who's been in the business 45 years, is saying the same exact thing that someone that's been in the business not even 3 years is saying. That gentleman, Chris Brown, he comes from, you know, he had a $26 million business over in Russia. So again, he comes from success, but he's only been in the business like less than 3 years. But he said discipline is the number one thing. He said, oh, everybody says everything else, but it's about discipline. And then you come in here and say the same exact thing 7 days later. That's huge.
Yeah, because it's true. Yeah, everyone controls their own outcomes. you're right where you should be. You're where your work and where your work ethic and your moves financially and professionally have put you. You're where you are because you should be there.
Yep.
And discipline is a big part of getting where you want to be.
Absolutely, right. It's your decisions. That's what it's all about. That's what I say all the time, David. So 100%. So it's from a financial standpoint. I know you said you were doing $1,500 a month and you went to $2,300 a month. When you shifted over into sales, what did that do for your income and how did you feel about it?
Oh, it shifted my income way up. I didn't make a whole lot of money on every car. I did a lot of cars. That's how I did it.
David, stop. Listen, you're repeating. I'm sorry. This is so funny. You are totally repeating what my man Chris said last week. If you don't believe me, listen to. He said the same exact thing. And it was true. And what year was this?
Oh, that was 1970. 78.
So that's 77, 78, and now he said it's the same thing in 2018 through 2019, right? Things don't change.
Yeah, you create more customers, and then if you've treated them right, you've created more referral bases out there that will send you their friends or their relatives, their kids, their parents, whatever. And so the more cars you do, the more cars you will do. And I never was one that just knocked somebody's head completely off when I did a deal. I always just did a whole lot of deals, got more referrals, more customers that way, and ended up at the end of the month with more gross. That's how I did it.
So that is beautiful. So that sounds like, to me, one of the keys to making money in the industry. And that I've never heard anyone say it that way, but it is so simple. The more cars you do, the more cars you will do. That is beautiful. All right. So let's shift over and just talk about the managers, because you became a manager after a short period of time.
Yes.
Okay. So talk.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I managed 10 years before I went into the leasing business.
Okay.
So when I came to AutoFlex, I had a sales manager, and he was a nice guy, but he wasn't as good a manager as I was.
Right.
He didn't really understand managing, and I'd had 10 years of experience. So I kept going to my boss and saying, hey, I'm a better manager than he is. Just give me a chance. And finally they did. And I managed people like I like to be managed. I gave people a lot of latitude, and I hired good people, and I stressed honesty and hard work. And that's the kind of people I got that worked for me, and we were successful.
Beautiful stuff. So talk about that, because that is, like I said, things don't change. It is a challenge in our industry, is hiring the right people. Most people just like, oh, you can breathe. Oh, you got blood in your veins. Hey, you're hired, right? So how do you do that? How do you make sure you're hiring a good person?
Okay, so this is just my thinking, but
that's what we want.
I'm a good salesman, and I can spot a good salesman. I can't tell if they're a crook or not. I can't tell how successful they will be if they'll work hard enough, but I can spot a salesman.
Right.
Because I'm a salesman.
Right.
So I would, number one, interview people and decide who could sell and who couldn't. And that was the first thing. Secondly, I would check references back as far as I possibly could to see exactly and I would always tell the people the same thing. I'm not going to mention this to anybody. I'm not going to tell anybody anything. I just need to know what you think about this guy personally. Right. I need to know what you think about this gal personally. And they would tell me what they thought personally, and then I could make a decent hiring decision. The other thing is we've tested for years. We test for sales ability, honesty, that kind of thing. And we still test. It's smart. It's the right way to hire somebody, because it can tell you things that you cannot get from an original interview. Right. So it's important to test people.
Got you. So, three key things. First of all, you said that you were a good salesperson. See, a lot of people, they get it's these fake managers in the business, right? And so when they're hiring people, they really don't know what they're looking for. So you said you were a good salesman, so you can spot a good salesman. Then, secondly, you said you check references. You weren't lazy and just because you need people, I'm just going to hire them right away, right? And then lastly, I heard that you test people, and testing is extremely important because of the reasons you just said. I mean, you can find out things that you just won't be able to notice from an interview. So that's excellent. So what are secrets to making money as a manager? If I'm a manager, because I know, listen, I can sell, so I'm good at sales, but once I become in management, some people go, okay, well, it's no longer up to me, so now I'm supposed to make money.
No, it's always up to you. It's determined by how many people you hire that produce more and more every month. Growth is the way to make money. Do more, sell more, make more money. Growth is the way that a manager earns more money. The team that he manages does more and more and more.
Okay, so let's play devil's advocate. David, these guys are lazy though, man. It's not like it was when you came up, man. I learned from the tough guy, so I was tough and I know my stuff, but they don't know their stuff.
Then you've hired the wrong people.
Wow. Just that simple. You hired the wrong people. I love it. I love it. And here's the thing, and I can agree with that. But in addition to that, would you agree that, okay, now that I've hired this person, it's up to me. It's my responsibility as a manager to train them up. Do you think that way?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you have to take care of morale. You have to take care of education. You have to take care of technique. You have to make sure that they are firing on all 8 cylinders so that they get the best results from their efforts that they can get. So there's a lot of refinement. There's a lot of education that goes on in meetings. There's a lot of one-on-one. What did they say? What did you say? What did they say? What did you say? Back and forth to judge where they are. And one of the things that you look for in a salesman that is really good is, does he really know where in the deal he is? Is he in front of the customer? Has he already sold them a car in his mind, but they haven't bought it? Is he behind the customer? Are they trying to buy a car and he's not moving fast enough? Is he right where he should be in the deal, where he and the customer are working together toward the same goal, and that ends up in success? So very important that people understand the transaction and what part of the transaction they're in and what part of the transaction the customer's in, and being sure that they and the customer are still working together toward the same goal.
Wow. Again, huge, man. You're blowing us away, right? You're really giving us some nuggets here. So I love that. I think that is extremely important, and I think that's something that most people don't think about, right? And I also heard you mention morale. So what are some things that you did to, get morale up, keep morale up, and to make sure that it was the right environment? Because I always say this, listen, people don't change people, environments change people. So what'd you do to keep the environment right?
Well, again, you manage people like you want to be managed, and you do not and here's some of the mistakes people make. They hire too many salesmen for the amount of leads that they have coming in. So they've got people that don't make a living. And it gives people, if you do that, it gives people, it brings morale down because they don't have enough opportunities. You have to look at everyone's work every day to, and let them know that you're in the trenches with them, that you're there fighting the same good battle that they are, and that when they succeed, you succeed. The most important thing to a guy is having opportunities to sell, to a guy or a gal, is having opportunities to sell. So you have to provide enough opportunities for the guys and gals you got working for you to see that they can be successful. And if they know that you are as concerned with their success as they are, their morale is good.
Okay, good. So talk about this. So think about how many cars you sold versus, as a manager, how many cars did your top person sell? And then what was your, more brand new, I don't even say brand new, but just like the lower end of the spectrum. What did that look like?
Well, it varies as to according to how much gross they make, because sometimes guys don't sell as many vehicles, but they make a lot of money, and you have to respect that.
Yeah.
And sometimes guys that were like me sell a whole lot of cars, don't make a lot of money per car, but end up with more gross than everybody has at the end of the month. So it's sort of there's not really a good or bad. If someone is not producing, then you have to decide why they're not producing. Either they're not getting the opportunities, they're not handling the opportunities correctly. I've seen guys sabotage their own deals. And at a point like that, you have to make a decision as to whether you want to work with them, to train them a little more, or whether or not this is the right job for them. They maybe should be doing something else.
Yeah. So talk about that. How do they sabotage the deals?
Oh, well, a lot of people are fine until they succeed, and then once they become successful, they become unsuccessful.
Yes.
Because they don't know how to handle success. So those are the guys that work really hard, turn in a great month, and then disappear for a day or two for whatever reason.
Spending that money.
Yeah, they get pocket full of money and they're gone. Sometimes guys will burn ups, as they say. Customers will come in and they will give them more information than they should to begin with before they really even know their customer. And so that way the customer gets the information he needs and he moves on to somewhere else, to someone else, to compare information, that kind of thing. So sometimes guys don't handle customers properly, and those tend to be the ones that probably shouldn't be in our business. They should be in some other business.
Got you. So one more question about the sales floor, and then I want to transition into this leasing. So talk to me about what are the things that the most successful people do? What have you seen them do that's different from the mistake makers?
Back to discipline again. They stay on the phone. In our business, if you were in front of a customer or if you were on the phone, you were making money. If you were not in front of a customer or not on the phone, you were not making money. Now, everything you do can't be contributable to earning more income because you have to do research, you have to find cars, but there's shortcuts. There's things you can do to help you in the future make it easier to do business. So for me, I kept invoices off every kind of, because we leased all makes and models. I had a drawer with invoices, everything from AMC at the time or whatever was A, all the way to Volvo at the end. And I would save an invoice off every car that I did. So I would have numbers basically in my mind to understand what cars would work well, what cars wouldn't work well, that kind of thing. So you can do a lot of little shortcuts, no matter whether you're selling new cars or selling used cars. You can create an easier world for yourself to succeed in by doing some really smart things.
Absolutely. And it's so crazy how these success principles that you're sharing, it crosses industries, right? So for me, I'm the same thing. I come from the music industry, right? So, if ever I'm making a track or something like that, I have, a certain, drum patterns. I've got certain key sounds that I use that I know are successful because they've been successful before. And I'm going to I have them already in a folder. It's called, my favorite drums or, for certain sounds that that people are really liking. I mean, and it's the same thing across industries. I don't care what you're doing. If you make your life easier, you can focus your energy on the things that matter, the things that are important, like connecting with your customer and all that good stuff. So powerful stuff. All right, so talk to us about this leasing, because I know you said you jumped in 1985, right? You started leasing, and so this whole concept of leasing pre-owned vehicles. Can you talk to us about that? Because I know for me that's even still foreign.
Well, and it's become better in the last few years because new car transactions cost so much. The average price of a new car is somewhere around $38,000. The average price for a pre-owned car is about $10,000 less than that, and that's average to average. When you see your biggest leverages are the SUVs that people lease, or the maybe the luxury vehicles that people lease that have that huge first-year depreciation. If you go to a pre-owned car, same car, just a year or 2 years old, it saves thousands of dollars in the startup costs because you save that first-year depreciation. And it also, by the time that goes to a lease, it saves money every month because the principal that you started with is a lot less. Here's the other thing. Cars last longer now. People keep cars longer now, but people only keep cars for so long. So if you've got somebody that trades cars every 5 years, you can show them a big difference in a lease payment on a new SUV as opposed to a 1 or 2 year old SUV of the same brand by doing a lease on that car. It works more effectively with cars with good resale value and with luxury or more expensive cars. Heck, I drove a $70,000 Jeep Wrangler a couple of weeks ago to review, and I've seen several pickup trucks that are $80,000 plus now. So again, it comes to affordability in those cases. If you wait until the vehicle's a year old, it's going to be a lot less expensive. If you consider somewhere between 20 and 30% first year depreciation, it's going to be a lot less expensive as far as the initial charge to get into the vehicle and as far as the monthly payment. So the lease lets you, on a pre-owned car, lets you take advantage of that big drop in value of the car. And the car is still a good car. It's going to last a long time. And if they need an extended warranty, you can provide an extended warranty for them. And, of course, that also provides another opportunity for income.
Yes. Absolutely. And then, that's one of the things that we talk about. I mean, when you have, high leasing at your dealership, and I know that's what you guys do, the customers returning sooner, you can have more customers, and then the crazy thing, I think it's a win-win situation because, I mean, really, who wants to invest, purchasing a depreciating item? You see what I'm saying? Like, why not let it pass hands?
No one does. And the other thing that people don't think about, or a lot of people don't think about, is people that lease cars don't know what to do with the car at the end of the lease. So they come back to you. And they ask you. One of the other things that's terribly important in the leasing business is to follow up with and make sure you're in contact with those customers in the last 18 months or so of their obligation, because you can start looking at if there's going to be equity in the car, if there's going to be inequity in the car. If they just want to turn it in and you just want to turn it in, then you can do that. If they want to buy the car, there's an opportunity to sell them the car. And since it is a lease, it is owned by a bank. So you're not actually selling them their own car. You're selling them a car that had a financial agreement on it. So you, again, can make money on the car there. And then you've got an opportunity at the end of the lease also, if they buy it, to sell them an extended warranty, that kind of thing, that'll give them mechanical protection over the term of the warranty.
Okay. So here's the thing. I've got, a lot of coordinators, a bunch of people who listen to this, and they're like, they think that it makes sense to lease or start talking to the leasing customers, maybe 3, 2, 1 month out. What is the value? What am I supposed to say to somebody that it's 18 months out? It's basically halfway through their lease. What am I supposed to say to them then?
Hey, Bill, how are you, bud?
How's
right. Mary? How are the kids? Keep copious notes of wife's name, kids' names, ages. 16 years old. If somebody has a 14-year-old in their household, in 2 years, they're going to get a car.
Yeah.
Keep a note. Hey, Bill, thought I'd call you on it. Danny's fixing to turn 16 in about another 5 or 6 months. I know you're going to be thinking about a car for him, maybe a pre-owned car. Listen, what can I help you with on that?
Nice.
And everything is, what can I help you with? Because that's what people always look for, is help.
100%, man. Just conversation alone, and then you stay at the top of their mind. It's called top of mind awareness. 100%.
Yep.
So, all right. So here's the thing. You just sound like such a scholar when it comes to this stuff. You obviously receive some training, right? How important is training in our business, especially?
Okay, so honestly, both of my parents sold.
Okay.
My father actually sold my mother was an interior designer and she sold. So I was sort of raised with a salesman's mentality, which helped a lot.
Nice.
I still didn't understand what to say and what not to say. I still didn't understand when to say what. I still didn't understand all of the mechanics to selling, and that's what I learned, was when to say it, what to say, when not to say it. When you're doing this, you do this, you do this, you do this. It comes in an order. I had to learn all of that, and I learned that from very smart people. And then I listened to really good salesmen, because really good salesmen can teach you more than anyone else can. That's why your manager needs to be a really good salesman, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's important that he know, number one, what you do every day to bring home a paycheck.
Yes.
He needs to have brought a paycheck home the same way. And number two, he needs to be smarter than you are so he can see what you don't see.
Blind spots. I talk about them all the time.
Yep.
That's beautiful stuff, man. And so it's so crazy because I know there was a time when I just had no idea that there were even things to say. I thought it was just okay. You talk to somebody and they want to buy it, and maybe you can help them buy it. And if they want to, they do. And if they don't, they don't. Who knew that there were actually tactics, different things, and stuff for people to say? I remember one of the first time I was talking to a person, and I was trying to get him to do something like join my team or something. And I got to the point where he just was giving me so many objections, and I'm look, man, it's up to you. And he's like, oh, I see you in your indifference, and I'm like, what's that? I had no idea. And so I had to have him train me. I'm like, listen, I don't know that stuff that you're talking about, but all I do know is that with your skill, with what you know and what I know, listen, we could put that together and we could do something amazing.
Well, and people always look for help. And so you want to always be helping people. And it's important to let them know that's what you're there for, is to assist them in accomplishing what their goal is. And in the case of getting a car, it's getting a car. If it's something else, it's something else, but you're there to assist them in reaching their goal. They have a goal. Everyone has a goal when they shop. And it's your job to help them reach their own goal so that you're working with them on a goal rather than against them or rather than for a commission. You're working with them to try to attain their goal.
Yeah. It's like we don't sell cars, we help people buy them. You know what I'm saying? It's that thought process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff.
By the way, if I could, would you? Was the first thing I ever probably learned in sales, and there's 1,000 ways to say it, but it still works.
Yeah. If I could, would you? Yeah, I say that all the time, even when it comes to pricing, because people are like, I want the price before I come down there. Okay, absolutely. So, once I get you this price, if I could get you, a phenomenal price, and I'm able to send that to you, and you like it, when's the best time for, what I'm saying? Would you come in to see, what I'm saying? It's the thought
Still
process.
Works. It's the oldest thing in the world, and it works like a champ.
Beautiful stuff. All right, cool. So listen, again, you got tons and tons of tactics. Is there a certain book that you recommend for millionaire car salesman listeners?
I read all the time.
Wait, stop right there, because that beautiful, inhale, exhale, and then saying I read all the time, because that's a big deal. Most people think that, I don't know where you think you're supposed to get the information from. I know you got online, YouTube University, all that good stuff. People don't even go there. But man, for someone to say that I read all the time, all the successful people I talk to say that. So that's a nugget right there. Now you could go.
Well, Somebody told me that all readers aren't leaders, but all leaders are readers.
Yes.
And I think I read periodicals every day. I read books like First Things First, In Search of Excellence, those books that are older. Right now I'm about to read a book called Can I Trust You? Because one of the more important things in selling is being able to get someone to a point that they actually trust you and they understand you're on their side. And you are on their side if you're smart. But I read all the time. I also read junk books too. I mean, I read all the time.
And it's so crazy because, some people would say that they're not valuable. I totally would disagree with that because no matter what you're reading, you're actually diving into the mind of a person. And as a great salesperson, that's where you want to be. You want to understand how people think. And so,
Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right. So listen, I like that. You said, what's the name of the book again? Give it to him one more time that you're about to read.
Oh, Can I Trust You?
Can I Trust You? Okay. You got the author on that?
Yep. He is from Israel.
Mm-hmm.
He has a PhD, and I don't recall his name right now.
Hey, listen, look, if they want it, they'll find it. You know what I'm saying? That's the information. I know I'll find it.
I got it at home. I just I haven't started it yet.
It's all good. If Dave is
it's not a big book. It's not a big book. It's a very, very small book.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it. So tell us, David, what do you love about the automotive industry?
Oh, it's taken care of me my whole life.
Wow. Yeah.
The other thing
What's that?
is you can measure your progress every time you do business.
Mm.
It gives you a measurement of how effective you are at what you do.
Folks are afraid of that, though, Dave. You know that. They don't want to know that they're not.
No, you can't be. You got to get better. If you're not where you need to be, you need to get better.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. All right, awesome. So share with the people. I know AutoFlex is rocking and rolling, doing its thing. What is your closing statement, and how can people connect with you if they want to hear more of this stuff?
My closing statement probably was the same as I said earlier. We're all exactly where we should be. Given our history and our efforts, we're all exactly where we should be. To reach me, david.blasingame@gmail.com is my personal email, david.blasingame@gmail.com. You're welcome to write me. If you tune into radio.com, I do a radio show every Saturday morning called the Saturday Morning Test Drive, 9 o'clock Central, 105.3 The Fan on radio.com.
Okay.
So you can hear me there.
Kind of like a podcast. It's just live.
Yeah, kind of. It's just live. Yep.
Awesome stuff.
We've been doing that radio show for well over 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, and then we definitely got it. We're going to, post a link to some information on that. So that's beautiful stuff. And wow, man, this has just been absolutely phenomenal. Thanks so much for, being on the podcast and just sharing and then offering your personal email address to help, millionaire car salesman listeners if they want to, kind of connect with you. That's beautiful. We definitely appreciate that.
I thank you very much for having me, LA. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So listen, I always say you are the average of the 5 people who you spend the most time with, and you've just been spending time with L.A. Williams and Mr. David Blassingame. So now it is your opportunity to go out and be a millionaire car salesman. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks, David.
Thank you, LA.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to BradleyOnDemand.com and take your career to the next level.
I heard some really complicated concepts that you just, bam, snapped into, a few words. So that was excellent.